It's 50 years since the rock music legend Brian Jones died. Brian Jones was the original leader of the iconic rock band The Rolling Stones. He's credited with bringing originality and innovation to the band's sound. Let's listen now to Jones playing the Indian sitar on the track Paint It Black. Now, Jones's death has always been shrouded in rumour and mystery. He had a history of drink and drug abuse. He was found dead floating in his swimming pool in Hartfield in England on this day in 1969. He was just 27 years old. Well, let's bring in now Michka Assayas, a music journalist here in Paris, for some appreciation, assessment and analysis of the life and times and legacy of Brian Jones. Thank you very much for being with us. For you, how important was Jones not just to the Stones, but to music in general in the 60s and beyond?
I would say that, as you pointed out, he was the musical director of the Rolling Stones. He was this blues purist who obviously knew a little more than Jagger and Richards. And he was able to play Dust My Broom by Elmore James, perfectly. And then he was how to put that? He was the mentor of the Rolling Stones, and he was able to play different instruments. We saw him play the Indian sitar. He was able to play the steel guitar, the dulcimer in Lady Jane, and he brought that element of musical purity to the Stones. I mean, he played lead while Richards played rhythm. But there was more to him than just being one part of the Rolling Stones.
I think people forget the Stones were originally a rhythm and blues band.
Absolutely.
And of course they developed into something far, far bigger.
Yes.
And Jones central to that.
And actually, when I Can't Get No Satisfaction became a huge hit, Keith Richards was not that happy about that. And really, Brian Jones was sour about this vulgar sound of the fuzzy guitar. And he actually, because of all those addictions you just mentioned, he was less and less able to play his part inside the Rolling Stones. So he was as we say in French, mis sur la touche.
Put on the sidelines.
Put on the sidelines, exactly. And
you mentioned the dulcifer?
Dulcimer.
Dulcimer. The dulcimer. It's an instrument I do not know, and maybe many people watching don't know either. Let's take a look now at the track that you just mentioned, Lady Jane, and we've got Brian Jones playing that dulcimer. Okay.
Oh, my sweet Marie, I wait at your ease. The sands have run out for your lady and me. Wedlock is nigh, my love.
I have two observations. Somewhere in our family album, there must be a picture of me with that haircut because I was about maybe 6 at that stage. The suit, I love it. I love the fashion sense. I love the whole thing. But Brian Jones showing there that unique versatility, which I think, to my mind, and maybe you agree or disagree, puts him on a kind of level with George Harrison.
Absolutely. Oh, it's I mean, the sitar, obviously. And then there's something which people often forgot about, which is this record he made with Brian Gysin, who was a poet, a beatnik poet and a musician, with Moroccan players, Brian Jones and the Pipes of Pan at Jujuka.
Wow.
It was released in 1968, and you can put this in parallel with Wonderwall Music by George Harrison. So yes, they were the ones who went into psychedelia, spiritual matters, oriental wisdom, etc., etc. And in the case of Brian Jones, I mean, he went maybe a bit too far. all those addictions. I mean, there was alcohol. Obviously. I mean, I'm not here to make a list.
No, I know. It's about appreciation. Obviously,
Yes.
it's documented that he
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's documented that he had the problems that he had. Before you leave us, let's take it right back to the Stones' roots to rhythm and blues. 'Cause
Yes.
one of the sounds that Jones is credited with bringing into music is this
Slide
the
guitar, slide guitar.
Should we take a little listen to Little Red Rooster? I think we have it. And if we have, let's play it, please. We don't. Tell us that the slide guitar. It's a sort of an issue where you have the
Well, you play it with the bottleneck, you know,
Yeah.
it's as the phrase says, it slides over the frets, and so yeah, he was an expert in that. I mean, he was actually the last time he played slide, I think, is in No Expectations on Beggar's Banquet, which was a sort of return to the Stones' roots. You know, it was a very stark and pure blues album. You know, and after the excesses of psychedelia, and when the Rolling Stones went all Baroque with their Certainly Majesty's Request,
Sure.
he was last heard actually playing the slide guitar. It was on this wonderful number, No Expectations.
Indeed. But this is what we're seeing now behind us, or just on screen now, is Little Red Rooster.
Good.
With Jones playing there.
Yeah.
There is in front of the camera in the centre there. One of the early appearances of the Stones back in the 60s when life perhaps seemed a lot more simple to the poor chap, and obviously his end maybe summed up a lot of the excesses and the problems that fame brings.
Yes.
But no doubting his genius. And thank you, Michka
definitely.
Assayas, for your genius too, and joining us and sharing your views and your opinions and your analysis. Clear as it is, and obviously an appreciation of what Brian Jones meant, not just to the Rolling Stones, but to music in general. And thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Great to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting out my old Rolling Stones albums and having more appreciation of Brian Jones when I eventually get out of work. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.